This video will show you how to add and manage owner-operator profiles in Transport Pro. We're going to take a deep dive into the profile so that you understand each field, what goes where, and how it works in conjunction with the rest of the system. It is important to note how the relationship between owner-operators and drivers works in Transport Pro. So if you're setting up an owner-operator who also drives, which is likely, then the owner-operator is going to have an owner profile as well as a driver profile. So think of the owner record as the payee record, which is where his payment information lives, and the driver profile as the safety record, or where that safety information lives. So later, when it comes time to dispatch an owner-operator, it's the driver that gets dispatched and the owner-operator who gets paid at time of settlement. So the system will look to the owner profile to determine who to pay. Also note that in an owner-operator situation, the system will always pay the owner of the truck. So let's take a look at how to add an owner-operator profile to the system. We're going to go to Drivers and Equipment, Owners, Add Owner. You'll see that the form is split out into two sections, owner information and payment information. Let's take a look at the top half of the form first. The first thing you're going to see is a yellow bar with a warning message at the top of the screen that says, "I would also like to create a driver record from the information entered below." And by default, this box is checked for you. So again, assuming this owner-operator also drives, leave this box checked and it's going to save you a few steps later on. First, we're going to select the owner-operator's status. It must be active in order to dispatch. You can always come in and change the status at any time as needed. Enter the owner-op's name. First and last names are required. The middle name is optional. Company. This is not a required field. However, if the owner-operator operates his business under a specific company name, for example, ABC Trucking, you can reference that here if you want. Enter the owner-operator's address. And I will note, if you enter the zip code first, then the city and the state will auto-populate for you. So that can save you just a little bit of time there. Group. So this is an optional tag you can use if you want. For example, maybe within your organization, you split your owner-operators into groups. Say Group A, Group B, etc. If you want to tag that on the record, as well as be able to run a search for specific groups in this way, you can tag that here. And by default, when you get started with Transport Pro, you're not going to see anything to select here, but we can add options for you. So if you do want to see options added to this drop down, please reach out to us, let us know, and we can help you. Preferred settlement day. Again, this is not required, and it's likely only going to be utilized if you run daily settlements for your owner-operators. So if there is a specific day that you do run settlements for this owner-operator, you can tag that day here. Otherwise, leave it be. Factor payments. So if this owner-operator does use a factoring company and you need to send payments to the owner-operator's factoring company at the time of settlement, you can tag that factoring company here. This is a drop-down that we can add options to. So again, please reach out to us and let us know if you do need to add options here. We can help you with that. Print 1099. So by default, this box is checked, assuming you need to print 1099 information for the owner-operator. Now, I do want to note here that Transport Pro does not print the actual 1099 form for you, but we do provide a 1099 report that gives you the data you need to do your 1099s. And that 1099 report is found under the Settlements menu, and then under Reports, 1099 report. So you can take the data from this report and spit it into a 1099 program. Home terminal, tag the terminal that this owner-operator belongs to. If you aren't managing multiple terminals or offices, then you're just going to see your company name here. You just tag that. Main phone number, enter the owner-operator's primary phone number. Enter the owner-op cell phone number. You can enter a fax number and enter the email. Trailer rent percentage. This field is here in the case that this owner-operator allows his trailers to be rented out to other owner-operators. If he allows that, then he may charge a trailer rent percentage for that. If he does this, then you can enter that trailer rent percentage here, say 5%. If a value is entered here, then when another owner-operator uses this owner-op's trailer, the owner-operator borrowing the trailer will be charged this amount, or in other words, this trailer rent percentage, and the owner of the trailer will be reimbursed for that amount. Portal password. If your owner-operators are using the Transport Pro owner-operator portal, then you can set their password for that here. Their username is their Transport Pro owner-op ID, and then you can set the password to whatever you want it to be. If you aren't currently using the owner-op portal and it's something you would like to utilize, please let us know, reach out to us, and we will get that set up for you. Now, let's take a look at the bottom half of the profile. This is where the payment information lives, and this section must be filled out. So let's run through an explanation of fields here. The very first thing you're going to see in this section is a blue hyperlink that says copy information from above. If you click this link, the system will copy the name, address, phone numbers, and email from above to this section, saving you some data entry. The pay bill name reflects the account name that the settlements show up under in the settlements section of the system. So, for example, maybe this owner-operator runs his company under the name ABC Trucking. And come time to pay this owner-operator, you need the settlements to be paid to ABC Trucking versus John Smith, or the individual's name. You have the option to manage that settlement account name here as you may need to. City, state, zip. Again, if I hit copy information from above, that's going to be inserted for me. Same thing with any phone numbers and the email. Now, I do want to note on the email here in this section, this is the email address that you'd like for the owner-operator's settlements to go to. So, come time to process settlements for this owner-op, when the system does that, it's going to send the settlement sheet to the email that you have on file here. So just make sure that it's correct for that purpose. Settlement receipt. Select how this owner-operator prefers to receive his or her settlement summaries. Assuming you're doing everything electronically and you want the system to automatically send out the settlement sheets at the time of processing, make sure that the email box is checked and double check that that email is correct in the field above. Social Security or Federal ID, this is a required field. Default tractor pay percentage. If this owner-operator gets paid a percentage of line haul, you'll enter that percentage here. So let's say, for example, this owner-operator gets paid 75% of line haul. I'll enter 75 here. Do not enter the percentage sign. Pay per mile loaded and empty. If you need to enter a per mile rate, both a loaded and empty rate, you put that here. Recall, this payment information section must be filled out, including the default pay here, whether it's percentage or per mile. Don't forget to fill this out, because later on, come time to dispatch this owner-operator, the system will look to the profile here to determine what that owner-op needs to be paid, and it's automated for you at that point. So don't forget to fill this out. Once all of the information has been entered, click Save Record. Assuming you left that box checked at the top to also create a driver record, then when I click Save, you're going to be redirected to the driver information screen. This is where you're going to be prompted to finish filling out the information for his driver record. So just remembering, when we've got an owner op that drives, they're going to have that owner profile, which we just filled out. They're also going to have this driver profile, which is where we need to note all of that safety information. So let's run through an explanation of fields on this screen. You'll notice that, some of that information does carry over from the owner profile, so it saves us some data entry here. In order to dispatch the driver, the record must be in an active status. Again, you can come in and update the status at any time. Company driver, no is going to be selected here, which is correct because he's an owner op, not a company driver. You can enter a salutation. You won't need to re-enter the name. That piece of information carries over. Same with the city, state, zip. Same with any phone numbers. And same with the email. You can enter the driver's CB handle. EOBR type. If this driver is using a supported EOBR device, you can select that type here. And if you haven't already, you'll need to work with our technical support team to ensure that the integration with that supported ELD provider is set up correctly. So if you need help with ELDs, please reach out to us. Let us know. One of our team members can help you with that. Same thing with the EOBR ID. If you need help getting that set up, please let us know. Medical, you can check any medical issues that this driver has. And this doesn't really drive anything. It just lives here on the record for your informational purposes. We've got several options here by default. You can add additional medical options to select here by going to Administration, Manage Site Settings, Manage Drop-Down Values, and then these options are managed under the driver medical table. So if you need to add things, that's something you or your system administrator internally can add. Home terminal, that's going to carry over for you. Driver group, very similar to a tag we saw on the owner profile. This is just another one of those optional tags for internal organizational purposes. You might put your drivers into different groups. For example, Group A, Group B, etc. You can tag that information here and then later run reports by group. So if that's helpful to you, we can always, again, add options here to that drop down. Same with the dispatch group, works the same way. Dispatcher, so if a specific dispatcher is assigned to this driver, you can tag that user here. Needs to be a system user, somebody that's been added to Transport Pro already, then you can tag it. Now, this does not automate or drive anything at the time of dispatch. This is another one of those tags for your internal informational purposes. You can run a search for drivers in the system by dispatcher. So, for example, if you wanted to just run a search in the system and say, hey, show me all of the drivers that, Jim is responsible for, you can do that using that dispatcher tag. Recruiter, you can tag the system user who recruited the driver. The recruiting source, if you need options added to this drop-down, let us know. We can add those for you. Hiring eligibility, again, let us know if you need options added. This is one of those that we'll have to add from our end. Enter the driver's birth date. It is required. Social security number. This is required. You can tag the sex and race of the driver if needed. Trailer qualifications. Here you can check the trailer types that this driver is qualified to haul. It's not required. Checking trailer qualifications here will drive a notification at the time of dispatch if the system detects an issue. For example, let's say that this driver is qualified to haul a van and reefer, and those two options are checked here on his driver profile. If a dispatcher tries to dispatch this driver on a different trailer type, such as a step deck, then the dispatcher will receive a notification that says this driver is not qualified to haul this type of trailer. Now note, that doesn't mean it's a hard stop. The system will still allow dispatch, but it just brings that issue to the dispatcher's attention. So this is something to note and be aware of if that's something you want to monitor. Hire date, enter the driver's hire date. Review date. So this is where we start getting into over here in this third column, really all that safety information. So enter the driver's review date, MVR date, physical due date, physical submitted date. Does the CDL match the physical? Enter the driver's CDL number, CDL state, expiration date, resident expiration date, TWIC expiration date, passport number, passport expiration date, any OCAC insurance carrier information, as well as the start and expiration date there. And I will note that this safety information that you enter here will also drive notifications at the time of dispatch. So I'm not going to get too much into the weeds on safety in this video. We'll have another video that just focuses on safety. But if you want to monitor that information, make sure that you're filling out the profile to the best of your ability here and enter all of that applicable information. You'll see a field for trip advance settings. So I'll touch on what this is here for. This field can only be used if you have a real-time integration with ComData or EFS. What this does, this real-time integration allows users to issue advances to fuel cards at the time of dispatch. And so you can set those parameters for those advances here on the driver profile. Now again, this is only if you have specifically the real-time service with either ComData or EFS. So if you do, and you want to utilize this feature, reach out to us here at Transport Pro and let us know. We'll make sure that you get set up correctly and give you the guidance you need to utilize that tool. So once all of the information has been entered on the driver profile, click Save Record. Once you have added all of your owner-operator and driver profiles to the system, you can easily search for and edit the profiles as needed. To search for an owner-operator in the system, go to Drivers and Equipment, owners, search owners. You can use any desired filter options or just click search to bring up a list of all owner-operators in the system. If you need to review a profile in more detail or you need to edit the record, click on the ID. Same thing with the driver records. So if you do need to review or make an edit to a driver record, you're going to go to Drivers and Equipment, Drivers, Search Drivers. You can use any desired filter options, or again, just click Search to bring up a list of all driver records in the system. And that covers how to add, search for, and edit an owner-operator or driver profile in Transport Pro. In a separate video, we'll show how to add equipment and link equipment to the appropriate profiles. In a separate video, we'll also show you how to manage the driver and owner summary screens and show you the different management sections you have there. And we'll also show in a separate video how to set up multiple drivers for an owner op. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at support@transportpro.net. Thank you for watching this video.